Thanks for bringing it. Okay, so originality is key. Hi guys, my name is Kristi Perrotta. So today I want to be talking to you guys about the negativities and positivities of copying design. Mostly negatives, but so I basically want things to kind of become your own. I don't think that copying other designs is always necessarily bad. I think there's a huge difference between copying and being influenced by other art. I think they're completely separate ideas, but I just hope that none of us are in the end copycats. I actually do need to volunteer just to kind of prove a point really quick. Does anybody want to volunteer to come up to me really fast? Great. Awesome. Jira was going to be my backup plan, so we volunteered. So basically what I'm going to have her do is come up here. We're going to play a little game. It's something that I used to do in a class of mine. And it was just to help warm up, so just stand over here. So basically what we're going to do is you're going to pretend like you're a mirror. And so what that means is you're going to reflect everything that I do. So if I move my right hand this way, you're going to copy it. If I move like this. So no matter what I do, you have to just kind of do exactly what I do. There's a complete reason for it, and I'll explain after. So we're like a mirror, right? You're doing everything that I'm doing. Yeah. So we're going to squat game. Yeah. Thank you, dude. Awesome. Give a round of applause.
You just looked me up on stage, right?
So it's super weird, right? Like, how did that feel coming up here doing that? Like, kind of awkward, but Dunya. Hey, Dunya, how did that feel? Was that kind of weird, or what were you thinking?
That was cool.
Kind of random, though, right? Kind of weird. So my point about that was, can you guys imagine a world where you were that mirror, where you're the person that's always an exact reflection of somebody else, where you're never able to make your own decisions, where basically you're just always that reflection. I feel like that's a perfect example of what I don't want to do. I don't want to be the mirror. I want to have my own. I want people to reflect off of me. That's kind of something that I hope to do eventually. I don't think I'm quite there yet, and I'm maybe not all of us are quite there yet. Maybe some of you guys do feel that way. But I definitely know that that's something that I don't want to do. So I don't know if you guys seen my poster, but my poster is an exact example of a bad design. And when I say bad design, I don't necessarily mean that the color choice was bad, or the kerning was off, or I don't know, everything about it wasn't bad. I mean that the way that you got from point A to point B, I think that process was bad. And that's something that I don't want to do. But everything besides that, I try to keep it somewhat my own. I borrowed the R and the type going sideways. So that was the poster idea, just to kind of prove the point. But enough with the analogy. I think it's ironic to talk about the poster like that, and you're going and to hear that next is all bad design, but this kind of copying to me is bad. So now when I say bad, I don't mean it doesn't look good, but anyways. So a classic example of this design is Duchamp. I know it's not necessarily graphic design in general, but I think that this is a really good example of how he took something that totally wasn't his own, and it's totally up to you guys whether or not you think that it's good or bad. Because I think there's a lot of discussion on this piece in general. But I think it's really interesting to look at how he took something and completely changed the perspective on it. And I'm not trying to say that I'm gonna take an image and put it upside down, or take something and write something on it and make it my own. But it's just one other way to look at something, to take, if you're the one that is taking art, and just make sure that we are all looking at good design and not bad design if we're trying to reflect off of it. So what he did is, he didn't make it, he didn't get the ceramics and stuff like that, but he just turned it around and kind of wrote that 1917, his initials on it, or not his initials, put that on there. And totally changed the perspective. It revolutionized the way that we view modern art back in the time. But anyways, so there's so much design around us, and it's nearly impossible to not be influenced everywhere we look, basically. Even in our own houses, like cereal boxes and just everything that you look at in your house. It could be good, it could be bad. But like I said earlier, I do want to strive to be the person that people are influenced by. I want people to one day look at what I've done and try to put new perspective on the way that I work. As most of the people here, I know you guys are pretty much all designers. I do want one day to look at what I've done. Even if you aren't a designer, my advice to you is to try a different method of research and inspiration. So even if you're like reading a book without pictures in it, or if you go somewhere that's kind of inspirational to you, or just try some new method of research, even if it's just, I'm not sure, just kind of think of something different. But I think another thing too, if you are like that kind of researcher who just scrolls through Google and you're scrolling and you're looking through Twitter or all those pages, try to weed out the bad design. I think that's really important, especially for me. Sometimes you'll just like Google something like book cover designs and you'll look through those kind of things and you'll, okay, that looks cool. But hopefully we don't look at like the bad stuff and still think it's cool. So I think constantly throughout design, we're looking at things that are bad. And I think that, which is why it's important that our generation is the ones that creates the good.
Those last few slides a bit slower so we can see what you were showing us then.
Just really.
Oh yeah, these things. Yeah, so bad spacing. Yeah. So what were you saying about the go back one? What are you saying here?
I mostly was talking about the red cup in general, but I think there's a lot of controversy about Starbucks cups. I was saying that it's bad, but I don't necessarily think these are bad. I was kind of pointing out like how there's so much talk about the red cups and stuff in general.
That's what this Starbucks interested me because I feel like I missed something, right? That happens, whatever. I missed the controversy, but it feels like now that Starbucks are trying to remind us that there's a controversy.
I know.
Like, so maybe it's not a controversy, maybe it's a marketing ploy, you know? Because they seem at the moment, I don't know what it was saying, I didn't really read the whole article because I felt like I was being sold something. But the whole thing was like, oh, wait till you see what we're doing this year. We're going to be controversial or something. What was the controversy? That it was Christmas, like a
I think that
Christian.
they were trying not to be.
Oh, that was
They
controversial.
wanted to like represent other things. I actually don't really remember. I just remember that it was controversial. Does anybody?
I think they like the idea of being controversial. All right, what was it? Let's go back. I was going to ask you something. Oh yeah, let's look at that. Let's look at that. It's too short. What do we think? What are our thoughts on this? I think it's a great image to show, to talk about graphic design, because it's much easier to look at this and talk about graphic design as a fine art piece than it is to look at painting or something more traditional, you know, a piece of fine art. I mean, this is what graphic design is. You know that cover? Remember the cover I showed you of Jamie Keenan? With what was it, Lolita?
Yeah.
And it's the corner of a room. That's this, isn't it? That was just the photograph of the corner of a room.
Right.
And we made up this, the viewer made up this whole thing of legs and panties or whatever we were looking at, but it was in our own head, you know. Or let's say knickers, just so it's nicer. Knickers. But really it was just the corner, right? So I think that's the same thing. We look at this artist is looking at the world and showing us something that's in the world and just asking us to see it in a different way. And a lot of graphic design is like that. It's a great image to show and talk about design. You know, this is this thing you've already seen, but let's look at it upside down, or let's look at it with the word this word next to it, and see how it changes its meaning. What do we think of this as a piece of work? What do you think of this? Again, this could be controversial, yeah?
Yeah, that's good. Just thinking like argument about design. When we take concept thing, and why don't we say, what if you turn it around and see it a different way?
Yeah.
It looks like when you're talking with people, we just focus on the work and people talking with you. But why don't you think about what they're thinking about?
What they're seeing, maybe. We have all these things like whether your finger looks like an elephant when you do this, or you know what I mean. Although you can make a little chicken head out of your hands. You know, there's all those things around us, so highlighting them. You know, my sunglasses look like a letter G. You know, all those things. But when you ask people to look at them with you, it's powerful, yeah. Because it's oh yeah, you've got a moment. All right, who's got questions?
I got a comment.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else has thought about this, but I feel like nowadays there's this weird fine line between fine art and graphic design, because so much is being pushed towards like concept, especially fine art. It's like nowadays fine art isn't fine art if it isn't conceptual. And so I wonder, do you have any like comments on that?
That's really interesting. I totally agree with you that like the fact that like concept is being pushed. I don't really know about that fine line yet. I think that it's still being I think that changes all the time, the line between the differences. But I didn't really think about that before, that how concept is being pushed so far into not even just fine art, but just I feel like in the art program in general. But it's the fine line is really hard to determine. I think for me at least. If anybody else thinks that there is a definite line, but I feel like it's just always changing.
Yeah, because when you throw up this slide, because I think a lot of it behind this, it has to do with concept.
Totally.
So
yeah,
I wonder if like if a graphic designer would have done this, would this be considered graphic design?
I was actually thinking
You know?
about what you did, Fran, because I was gonna throw it out there, but how like just turning the picture of the baby upside down. I mean, I guess it's just a photo that you're turning upside down, but I thought about like just the process of changing an image, like a design, and just turning it upside down and how we view it differently that way. I was thinking about that. And she's not like a professional graphic designer yet, but but yeah, I was thinking about that.
I just think about something like, consider about graphic design. If you go around asking people what graphic design, and they just think about graphic design is people who make a thing from the computer, bring or something, they think very simply. But actually, graphic design, why does put in the art building? Because we base on the concept of art, and we try to design with the style and with the concept. It's different with art student because art students have like my talking in the advertising class. The art stuff doesn't mean that it doesn't have a concept. It just look good. It just look like burn your building or something. But the graphic design, anything we put in, we didn't have a concept because we send the thing to the people who look at it. Like this one, they're sending us, why don't you just look a different way?
Well, I think this one wasn't about just look at it a different way. This was more on a critique of the art show that was going on at the time. It was kind of saying all you needed to do to become a fine artist was to pay this exhibition fee to have your work featured in here. That's what it was a commentary on. And so in that aspect, it's completely conceptual. And so
but its intention from the artist and how it's but then how it was perceived is different. I mean, this is perceived now not necessarily as a protest, but as a comment on art and as a celebrated for a different thing like ready-mades and in design.
Because like I can see a lot of similarities between something like this and like the joke poster that we did.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it was you're trying to communicate a message and you're using an alternative medium, and it's even got a little bit, I don't think this would be able to be as well received if it wasn't for that just the signature on it. I think that has something to do with it. So it's got words, it's got the medium of the canvas, and you're trying to present a certain message, a certain joke to it.
Fantastic.
So, see, that's where I think there's that weird line between like fine art and
Well, I don't know the line. I always have this kind. I just think they're quite not opposite. They're quite separate in approach. We can always look at things and get influenced by the ways of doing it. But I've told you my theory about walking through Damon Hirst's cow.
Oh yeah.
I told you that. It's a theory, right? You can totally disagree with this next thing I'm going to say. Don't write it down, right? But years ago, in the 90s, I'll say it that way, in the 90s, so for you guys, years ago, right? When I was a young, fresh, full head of hair, ponytail student, right? Ponytail, right? Great days, right? Oh, well, let me just happy memories of that ponytail. Anyway, the comb, I used to own a comb. Anyway, I went to see a show in England, and it was Damon Hirst. You know Damon Hirst, anybody? So he's the guy who's putting animals in formaldehyde and stuff. And it was a cow that was cut in half. And it's called Mother and Child Divided. And the cow's cut in half, and the calf is also cut in half. And you walk right down the middle of an animal, right? So it's art, right? And when you see that, there's a sense, it does something to you, right? It's a sensation. But when I came out of that, I had my own epiphany. I thought, oh, I get this now. I was a student and I was looking for this. I was a design student in an architect school, basically. And I was looking for this conversation about design and art. Do I need to define what these things are? So it was on my mind. And I realized when I came out of that gallery, after walking through and seeing all the details of it, all the, basically a body that's been cut in half, that I was feeling something, but then the person behind me could have been a mother, right? And the person behind her could have been a butcher. The person behind them could have been a farmer. And the mother could be walking through thinking of something completely different in her life. And the butcher could have been walking through thinking, oh, this has been cut terribly. I could have made a better cut down the middle of this cow than needed. Or, and everyone that goes through it has their own experiences. And then, so anyway, I built on that idea. And I think the difference between art and design, you don't have to agree, this isn't a thing, is that with design, with art, you throw your whole experience at it, what you've lived through, and whatever your experiences are, and what bounces back is your read of it, right? So, so in that case, I was probably looking like, ugh, look at this, you can see bits of its spine, ugh. So my read of that was completely different from everyone else's read of it. But with graphic design, I think, so it's a reflective thing, right? But I think graphic design is a projected thing. We all must agree that it's a book cover and that it's for Lolita, right? And we all kind of must agree on what it's doing. And we can have complex layers of understanding, but we all must agree on what it's for. You know what I mean? Like a stop sign. There's no kind of time, there's no possibility of going, that red reminds me of my, did you smash into someone, yeah? You're not supposed to translate it into personal, terms. So if you go to LACMA now, I'm forgetting the artist's name, there's that huge big sculpture in LACMA that you can walk around. It's like this. Has anyone been there? What's his getting name? He's been to sea, I think, isn't he? Sarah, yeah. So, I used to work in a shipyard when I was really young, right? So that reminds me of the shipyard and nothing else. And I get a very overwhelming sort of, bad feeling because I used to hate working there. But if you don't work in a shipyard, you don't get that. So it's all different, right? But when I look at the catalogue cover for that show, I know it's a catalogue cover, I know what I'm supposed to be, it's much more, this is what you're looking at. Anyway, that little conversation there, that doesn't happen very, that was very nice, very good stuff we were just talking there, that doesn't happen very often in these classes, very good. And it's a good slide. Anyone else got any questions? Please don't feel like what I just said then is a definition of graphic design and art, just my own little silly idea.
I don't know, I feel like I tried to say a lot of this stuff, but you guys all said it way better than I did.
Yeah.
All right. It's confused. Who's next? Whoever's next can start looking in. It's a confused thing because we're in an art school, right?
Right. It's a fine art major, like we have